Hello everyone. In our last session, we have seen how to set up the Talent Cloud and how to install Talent Studio, etc., and the access key setup, etc. We have seen. So it is a continuation of that video. And here, whenever you install Talent Studio by making use of Talent Cloud or Talent Open Studio, there are a couple of differences. Uh, so here, I have set up my Talent Studio in this particular folder. Talent Studio is a desktop application which is used for developing ETL jobs. So it is a desktop application which is used for developing ETL jobs to load the data from files to data warehouse or source database to data warehouse, SQL, Oracle, or from API, etc. Maybe API, from API you can fetch the file and load into a data warehouse, etc. So it is used for development of ETL jobs. So when you configure your Talent Studio or Talent Open Studio, you will be able to see these are the folders which we will get by default. And the configuration related folders, we can call it as, and here you can see this is our Talent Studio application, okay, with an icon you can see here. This is a Talent Studio application. And here you can see a workspace. So every Talent Studio, whenever you configure it and when you create a project, automatically a workspace will be created. All your development, whatever you have done, will be available in this workspace. And here you can see a configuration file at the below the application. Let's open it. So here, these two are important for us to improve the performance. Based on your RAM and whatever based on our storage, what we have our RAM and based on what is the OS configuration, OS if it is 64-bit, etc. Based on whatever the RAM size, these two we will make the changes to improve the performance. For as an example, these are the suggestions provided by the Talent team. If you are having 8 GB of memory and 64-bit system, then this is the best configuration which will help us to improve or the performance of the jobs, whatever we are running, it will help us. And and if you want to make the changes to this, you can open and just you can make the changes. And this is the Talent Studio. Let us do right click here, run as administrator. I'm running this Talent Studio. It will take a couple of seconds to open, sometimes minutes. And very first time when you're opening this Talent Studio, what it does, all the Java libraries which are required to perform our ETL job development related to connectors or whatever it is, all the Java library, it will try to import into this folder. So which will take some more time. And here you can see for Open Studio, I'm doing the switch sign in. For Open Studio, you'll not be able to see login with the Talent Cloud. Open Studio is a free licensed one where you cannot integrate with Talent Cloud. So this option will not be there. And for Talent Cloud, you have integrated the studio or installed this studio based on the license of Talent Cloud, then you will get this option. Login with Talent Cloud. When you use this option, it will navigate to your browser and it will ask us to provide the username password of Talent Cloud. So the login, it will make use of credentials of the cloud. If you don't want to use this option, then the other option is other login method where you can provide manually. Here, I can create the connections, edit this. I can create the connections, edit this. Yes. So these are the list of the connections I created. 1, 2, 3. Already I created 3 connections. See here. Repository. Repository is nothing but whatever the development we do, that may be ETL job and the source, making use of component transformations, whatever the logic we are using in that ETL, whatever the jobs we are developing, all the jobs are stored in this repository. Local indicates the repository will be available in our system. Okay, in our system. And AWS US East. When you have the setup in Talent Cloud, then you make use of the repository, this one. And you can create a GitHub repository also. You can make use of GitHub repository or Bitbucket repositories, which are where we can create the repository in the cloud and we can integrate our TMC with GitHub or Bitbucket. So you can store our ETL jobs, whatever we are doing the development in Bitbucket or GitHub. What is Bitbucket? What is GitHub? You can Google it. These are the two cloud providers where we can create the repositories. Instead of creating the repository in our local system, we can create the repository in a cloud environment, and that repository we can integrate in our TMC. In Talent Cloud setup, I already shown that in my previous video. You can watch it. And so whatever the region you have selected for installing the trial version of your Talent Cloud, that particular region you have to select and you can provide the token key. Token key, how to generate, you can watch my previous video. In TMC, in profile option, profile preferences, you will have an option to generate a token key, which indicates need not to provide any credentials. That token key you can provide here and it will allow us to log in using the license you have taken in TMC. But I don't want to log in using Talent Cloud. Instead, I want to go it as a local. And here you can see when you are selecting local, the workspace, it is asking for the URL. You can see. And so I have provided the Talent tutorial. In this folder, all my development will be stored. And so how it will be stored? Whatever the project we are creating. Okay. So when if you want to create a new connection, we can create instead of Talent, we can create a new connection. Okay. Click on plus, and I'm providing my connection name as new development. This is my connection name I am providing. Okay. And I can provide the description. Sorry. So here I'm providing the description using it for Talend ETL development. Okay. And I can provide any email. I can provide any email ID here. Any email ID, it's optional. There is nothing related to license. So I'm creating a new connection where I want to use a repository of local, which indicates all my ETL jobs, whatever I'm developing, will be stored in my local system. Okay. Click on OK. Then I will get the connection in my dropdown. See you. And I want to create a new project. Instead of using these two, I want to create a new project. When you create a new project, example, I'm creating the project name as ETL development. Then what happens when I create this project, immediately the workspace, whatever I have selected, the path is Talent tutorial. And here you can see development test is available, which is nothing but these two projects. When I click on create, automatically I will get a folder here. See here. So whatever the ETL development I am doing in this project will be stored in this here. Click on open. Now it is, yes, click on OK. It is trying to load all the libraries, etc. into my ETL development, which is a new folder, components, etc. Yes, you can see. So my Talend Studio application will reopen in a couple of seconds. Let's wait. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. Now let us see what are these folders. Whatever the, see, it's opened successfully. Okay, it opened successfully. It is still so slow. It will take a couple of minutes. Give me 1 second. Now let us see manual. What are these folders? All the metadata will be stored here. Joblets I will be stored here, and all our ETL jobs will be available in this process. Right now, this folder is empty because we did not even develop any single job yet. Okay. Once we develop any job, then the jobs will be stored in this process. We will see that. Okay. And these are the list of the folders it will utilize. Whenever whatever the ETL jobs we are developing based on this, the ETL jobs will start creating the files in this process folder. Okay. So this is my studio. If you see, this entire studio is having multiple option. Right side, you can see palette. At the bottom, you can see job, context, component. And here you can see at the left side outline. And here you can see the repository. So this is the repository. Repository in general terms in ETL, repository is nothing but a place where your ETL code metadata information, which is nothing but example, how many databases you are connecting, what is their credentials, how many tables you utilized in your. So those are called metadata information, connection information, and what is the code you have utilized in your ETL job development. It may be a drag and drop, but what is your source, what is your target, what are the components you used, everything will be captured in our repository. Example, if you delete the repository, if you delete this folder, that's all your ETL jobs are gone. So this is our repository. In repository, you can see job design where you will create the jobs. Here I create the ETL jobs. Right click here. I'm creating a new folder. Instead of creating the job, I'm directly creating a folder, and I want to maintain file to Snowflake, which indicates all the flat files related. If I'm using as a source to load into a Snowflake, all those ETL jobs I will store here. The purpose of this, I'm creating a folder now. Okay, I created the folder. See, in process, you got the folder now. I'm creating a new ETL job. I'm creating a job, standard job. Right click here, create a job. So what is the purpose of this? The purpose of this, customer, so job underscore, okay, customer data load. At the end, I want to maintain the target table and some random name I'm providing, job underscore customer data load. Okay, click on finish. So I have created the ETL job. That ETL job right now, it will open in this designer. This is called a designer. This is called a designer where we will maintain all the logics. What is our source? What is our target? What is transformation you want to utilize? Everything we do the development here. This is our designer. Okay. Now, see here, 3 files got created for a single ETL job. So every ETL job, there will be 3 files: item file, property file, and screenshot file. 3 files it will create, okay, in the process folder. And the right side, you can see this is called palette, which are nothing but every ETL desktop like Talend or ODI or Informatica, they will be having predefined components. For as an example, if you want to aggregate, then need not to write any logic. You can use a component called aggregate. And you want to get the file using an API. Then Talend has provided a component to call the API to get the file from API. So all these predefined components, whatever available in Talend, will be, you can see in palette. Say for example, file. If I need to load the data from XML file or JSON file, I can use this component. I need not to write a Java code or SQL code or PL/SQL code. Anything is not required. You can just make use of component. You can browse the file and you can load that into your target table. That's all. Very simple 2-step process. So these are the predefined components which are provided by every ETL provides this. not only talent. And these are example. Here you can see FTP, which is nothing but your file is available in a remote location and I want to get that file into my Talent Studio. I can use FTP to get that file. And logs and errors. Basically, example, if a job has failed, I want to capture the error information in a table. Why? Because the client people may not have login, like they cannot log in into database or Talent Studio to check the errors. Basically, they don't check the errors by logging to Talent Studio. But the client people may have multiple applications like or ETL tools like Talent Studio. They may have Salesforce, they may have Oracle, etc. So all the errors which are occurring every day in all the application, they want to see in a centralized place. That means every application can capture the errors the same way here Talent also, whatever the ETL job throwing an error, if I want to capture in a table, then you can use log catcher. So these are the predefined component which has a specific purpose and which does a specific action when you are using it. So all the components you can see in the palette and see here, I am pulling one of the component, lock catcher, let me pull, okay? And I am pulling one more component. I am pulling one more. How many components I have pulled here? Three components. All the three components I can see in outline. In a particular job, how many components you have utilized? Need not open that. Just if you place the cursor, it will show. Example, I am creating for your reference purpose. I am creating one more ETL job. Okay. Test job underscore test. Okay. I created. It's creating. Okay. So when I place the cursor here, it's not showing anything. Let me close. And let me close this. Save this. No problem. Yes. There, see, when I place the cursor, it is not showing any components. These are the list of the components available in this particular job. Three components. So in a job, how many components it is getting utilized? Just you can. Okay. These are the code available for each component. Okay. I did not utilize anything. And here you can see this is a designer tab, and here you can see a code. Give me 1 second. It's opening. It's slow. It's slow. It is taking a couple of minutes. So here this code, whatever the JavaScript or Java code it was utilized to develop these components, it will show automatically. Based on what are the options you are selecting in this component, accordingly the code will keep on changing here. Example, I used a T-lock catcher, etc. Okay, and but this code you cannot modify it. The backend code for this application, it shows basically how many components you are using and what action you are doing in this. Accordingly, the code will be developed here. And left side, you can see inside the standard, we develop the jobs. Here you can see one more option called context. Context is nothing but basically example, in every ETL job, we will be having an option to create the variables. Context is a global variables where you can allocate a value and you can utilize during ETL job run. So these are like kind of a dynamic variables during the job run. You can pass values to it from an SQL query or from a file or etc. And based on you can write some comparison conditions etc. So these are the variables, and this is a SQL template, and these are the list of the templates which having right now. These are the databases. Example, Snowflake. So these are the different templates which are available. How to utilize this, we can see. Don't worry, and we can create our own templates as well. And you have any Python code you can place here. You have any code related Python or something you can place here and you can call in your ETL job. And this is a metadata. I'm sorry. And this is your metadata, which are nothing but every ETL tool provides some predefined connections. Talend provides Snowflake as a predefined connection. Using this, you can connect to Snowflake. These are the predefined connections for the flat files and Oracle connection. And there will be a Salesforce also. Due to some issue, I'm not able to see, but we will be having a Salesforce connector as well, which will help us to connect to the Salesforce. Web service is nothing but whenever you want to call a SOAP URL, which is nothing but SOA or Delbumi related, you want to call a web request, then we can use this web service and FTP for a remote connection, etc. And every ETL job, if you want to do the documentation, you need not to do anything. You can get by default from this folder. This folder is for documentation. For every ETL job, you can create the documentation dynamically, and that documentations you can find under this, whatever the job. For every ETL job, you will get by default. For as an example here, if you see, when you right click here, edit properties, you have provided here, and if you provide the purpose and description, everything, whatever you are providing, it will be pulled into your documentation. That was the reason when you are developing any ETL job, these are the standards you should fill these fields. Basically, what is the purpose, why we are using, what is the description of this job, etc. Everything you can fill, and those descriptions will be available in documentation. Okay, so you can generate the documentation. There are a couple of steps I will show you in future. In the next classes, I can show you that next session. So all those documentation we can utilize for reference purpose, like how many components we used, what is the description, etc. We can find in the documentation. And here I have shown you that list of the components, and these are the basically the component name it is showing here. Log catcher. Give me 1 second, and here you can see component run. So if you want to run the job, you can run from here, or you can run from here. And there is a shortcut F6. If you click on that, automatically it runs the job. And these are the properties of the job. For example, what is the component name? T-log catcher. Okay, these are the basic settings. Catch when the error is occurred, etc. Java exception, what, or a one. Like example, warnings I don't want to catch, then you can disable this. Okay, and what is the schema? I mean column structure. What are the basic information it captures? These are the list of the columns which have. Example, it captures the error message, it captures the job name, it captures the parent ID, and it captures the project name. Basically, when you are login, I have created my project name as ETL development, so it captures the project name. In real time, we will be having multiple projects, so it is more important to capture the project name, message, job name, etc. Okay, and there will be one more called origin. Origin in the sense, example, in this particular ETL job, there may be so many components you may place. Exactly the error occurred in which component or what is the area, etc. That particular information, everything we can capture here. Okay, so and these are the list of the option you can enable and disable. And this is the edit schema. You can say basic settings, and in advanced settings, you want to gather the stats, etc. But for the same, if you select D or TDB output, the options may be different. So TDB output, what you have to see, what is that database? I mean connection details. If it is Oracle, you should select Oracle, etc. So all the database username, password, etc. will be available. Basically, we can call it as properties of this component. You may call whatever the properties, etc. And context. In this particular job, what are the global variables you want to utilize? You can add here. Whatever the context variables or context groups you created here, those I want to make use of in this job, then I can add here, then I can utilize. And this is the job information. For example, what is the name of the job and what is the purpose, description, status, everything will be available. I can provide a version, and when it is created, when it is modified, basic who columns, etc. can be able to identify here. Who, what is the login username, basically. Okay. So it's a developer name. These are a kind of foo columns, we can call it as. Okay, this is a version you can provide, and So these are the list of the options which you are finding, and so I hope I covered most of the things. And when you delete the job, example, I have deleted this job. By mistake, you deleted, but need not to worry. That deleted job will be available in recycle bin. You can restore it. Just how we restore in our mobile phone when you are deleting a particular file, there will be an option for restore. The same way here also. In Windows, we have an option called restore, right? After deleting, we can find that in recycle bin. The same way this is also. You can restore it automatically. So this is one of the important option we have. And these are the connectors, I mean components, and connectors, like around thousands of components and connectors are available in Talend. Okay. And and if you do the double click, it opens the job in maximize screen. All the options whatever you have seen till now went into hidden, and you can come back to the previous state when you double click this job. When you are providing a demo and you want to explain this job to someone, then just you can maximize this and you can explain the each component. And you want to maximize this, just double click this. Then again, you can click on this. It will go back to the previous. Or one more option is you can right click here and restore is option. Reset is one more option. Reset to this one. It will go back to the previous. So these are the list of the options which are available in this Talend Studio. And we will see each and every component in the next videos. You can let me know if you want to know more about a particular component, then I will try to uh, provide that initially. And yep, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I will try to answer them. Thank you.